It's time for Toyota Bulls Postgame Live. We are live at the United Center. The fellas just wrapped up in our nation's capital. The Bulls win over the Washington Wizards. The final score, 127-108. Jason Goff here with my teammate, 15-year NBA veteran, fifth pick of the 1990 NBA draft, Kendall Gill. Just what the doctor ordered, KG. I mean, your thoughts are important here because you kind of mapped this victory out for us.
I mapped it out.
Yeah. What did you think of tonight's game, man?
Well, I thought that they played the perfect team to get well in.
That's a great way to start. Right? Just off top. You played a 2-12 squad.
Played a 2-12 squad without their leading scorer, Jordan Poole, and guys just trying to stick in the league and make it.
And young kids, too.
And young kids, too. I mean, Alexander Zara is going to be a wonderful player.
I think so.
But, he showed why he has so much of a tremendous upside.
I like Koulibaly, too. They got some nice young dudes.
Yeah. And Keontae George is a nice player as well. But they are young, and they don't really have any veteran leadership. This is a team that you could go in and you can work on some things on. And the Bulls defensively, I felt, played really well. Holding this team to the right amount of points, and we'll go get to the keys later, but had 7 players in double figures, shot 50% from the field, 29 assists. Once again, that's the magic number for the Bulls when they win most of the time, and also 25 fast break points, which was great. I mean, they worked on all aspects of their game tonight.
All right. You said we're going to do it later. That later is now.
That later is now? Okay.
All right, Kendall's keys to the game. Anytime the Bulls win, we're going to throw these keys back on the screen for you. Nice and big, the big font for us.
Yes.
You know, we got to get that big font.
I don't need to read it for this one. I do not need to read it.
So did they adhere to your keys tonight?
They did. They didn't, in the first quarter, they kind of came out and were a little bit lackadaisical, but in the second quarter, they really turned up the defense, holding this Washington Wizards team to 47 points in the first half. That let me know that they was taking this team seriously. Second key of the game, hold the Wizards between 100 and 110. Should I get a job in Vegas?
Hey, 108 will do it. You should. I mean, shout out to Circuit. Listen, hey, I'm down with you. You want to take this thing on the road?
There you go. Third key of the game. Big three. They need to step up. You look at Nikola Vucevic, had 19 points. Look at Kobe White, 21 points. Look at Zach LaVine, 18 points. These guys came to play tonight. They knew we cannot leave the Capitol Center with a loss to these Washington Wizards. That's what your veterans are supposed to do. They stepped up. They took care of business.
They did step up. They did take care of business. And speaking of our nation's capital, let's throw it back out. Sideline, we got Mark Shanowski, we got Stacey King, and most importantly, we got Kobe White. 21 big points for Sub-Zero tonight. Let's hear what Kobe has to say.
Kobe, you guys go to 2-1 in the NBA Cup. I'm still getting used to point differential. What do you think of this NBA Cup?
I don't know the point differential. I don't know really nothing about it. I know it's a lot on the line for everybody on this team. 1 through 17 guys, however many we got, but it means a lot for everybody. So everybody gotta come out here and compete and play and try to win it.
I thought a big thing about tonight was you guys got off to that slow start offensively, but it did impact your defense. Did you see it that way?
Yeah, we've been harping on defense a lot. We didn't start off well shooting the ball, but we got some great looks, and we tried not to let it bleed over defensively. So I feel like we did a good job tonight. We held a team who scores a lot in transition. They put up some big numbers, the past couple games. So we held them to 108. That was good for us.
And you guys obviously got some big contributions from your bench. That's been a strong suit for you lately. What did you see from them?
Yeah, everybody played well. Everybody came and contributed. Julian, shout out Taylor. He played really well off the bench tonight. DT always brings a spark of energy. Modest played really well. When he plays with physicality and downhill, he's really good. He's really talented. So, everybody that came in contributed in a big way, and we need everybody. So on this team, we need everybody to come in and play. And, they're always ready to compete. So.
Last one. Speaking of everybody, looks like Lonzo Ball is going to be back tomorrow night. What will that do for you guys?
That would do a lot for us. Obviously, we miss having Lonzo, not just his on-the-court abilities, but just his presence on the court, his calming presence, his high IQ. So I'm ready for my daughter to come back. It's been too long.
Thanks a lot, Kobe.
Thank you.
Appreciate you, KC. Appreciate you, Kobe. Big game for Kobe White tonight. 21 points, 8 rebounds. Did it on 13 shots. Hot from three-point arc.
Efficient.
He's his regular old self tonight.
He was. A couple of the threes he took in the first half, Brandon and I did not agree with.
put that on
Brandon, yeah, I put it on Brandon.
You gonna put that on me?
Brandon came in the green room and said, "Did you see those threes?" I was like, "Yeah, I saw them, Brandon." And I really didn't like him, but Kobe got himself together and went 5 for 9 from three, and did a great job knocking it. And he was the one that was the most upset after the loss to the Grizzlies. So you knew that he was going to come out and put his best foot forward in this game.
Yeah, Kobe White getting 14 shots up per game. We talked about him maybe asserting himself more on the offensive end, becoming more of a primary ball handler with a game like this. You saw him rebound tonight. The other night he had 9 assists. His game is rounding into form. He's finding ways to not only help out with the scoring, but he's doing other things as well. Now we see that defense coming into shape as well. Like we've been talking about it for the last couple of years. He's my favorite player on the team. I want to continue to see him ascend.
Right. And listen, he did this last year at the end of the season. He's doing it again this year in a different role because he's not the primary ball handler. And sometimes he is when Josh Giddey goes out, but for the most part, he's playing off the ball, something that he didn't do last year, but he's still getting the same efficiency as a player done this year. That lets you know he's at the top of his game.
Yeah.
Who knows? If Billy decides to put him back on the ball as a primary ball handler, he may take it up another notch. Yeah. You never know.
And getting 19 points a game. And remember, he started out the season not shooting like himself as well.
Right.
So he's starting to round into form. Like you mentioned, that 20-game mark where you kind of realize what you are, trying to build out your game. Shout out to Kobe White. Salute to him for the way that he has played, especially over this last week. No matter what's going on, Kobe, you know Kobe cares.
And Kobe's sort of like a blue chip stock.
Uh-oh.
Talk to him. He's a blue chip stock, man. You can always invest in him because you know how the stock market goes. The blue chip stocks, they may take a dip, but they keep going up.
They keep going up.
Yeah, that's Kobe White.
Yeah. So
should we start calling him blue chip?
Bitcoin Kobe.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Let me chill before people start to think that I know what I'm talking about when it comes to crypto.
Bitcoin,
Enjoy your funny money on
That's
your own.
right.
All right, it's time for us to go to our Toyota play. It's not backed up by anything.
It's not backed by anything.
I'm worried. I like to paper bags under the mattress. I like to be able to touch the money a little bit.
Exactly. Give me
we'll talk
tangible.
about that some other time. Maybe you and I will talk about it on the podcast.
Yeah, we'll do.
Toyota play of the game. It's time for that. Nikola Vucevic. Hey, you talked about Nikola having to chime in as well. 19 points tonight. Had himself a nice little spinning move. He took the young boy to school tonight.
Took him to school several times. Look, listen. Do you notice the way Vooch is just making a concerted effort to drive the ball this season?
Yeah, I know you love it.
That's the difference in his game. I love it because big men can't guard drives to the basket. And Vooch probably worked on this all summer, probably went through with his trainer and said, listen, how can I get back to being the Vooch I used to be? Stop taking so many three-point shots and drive the basketball to the basket and take more field goals in the paint. By the way, Bulls 60 points in the paint tonight. That was great.
Needed.
Okay, and a lot of that had to do with Vooch.
And we talked about Vooch last year having the worst shooting season that he had in some time. So he also took it personally, and you see his numbers, another 19 points, another 12 rebounds, another 4 assists tonight. Only 1 turnover out of Vooch, so he played as well as you could play at the center position against a bunch of young guys, not letting up on him, not taking it easy on him. Alexander Sarr, like you mentioned, is going to be a nice player, but still not physically mature enough to do what he needed to do. Vooch took advantage of that, and kudos to the Bulls guards for finding him. There was a couple of sweet entry passes. Kobe had a couple. Ayo, we know Ayo and Vooch's relationship, since Ayo dropped down here. He understands that the big man needs the ball. They found him. He was sealing. He was active tonight.
Yeah, he really was. And, when you have a big man working that hard, you got to give him the basketball.
Hook him up.
Because if you don't give him the basketball, he's going to stop working hard for you. And when you have an inside presence, that makes it easier for perimeter players to play. I used to play with Alonzo Mourning. When Alonzo Mourning worked hard, I got him that basketball, and it opened up things for me.
Why is it only okay for the big man to stop working when they don't get the basketball? Like, we never, ever, I was just wondering. Like, just
they're prima donnas.
Exactly.
Big men are
we always say this, too, when we talk about basketball.
Yeah.
Basketball people, no one ever says, hey, you got to get the point guard some shots because he's going to stop working for you. It's always about the big man stopping to work if he don't get the ball.
You look at Kareem, you look at Shaq.
I thought you said Will. I'm like,
I said Will.
Big Will caught a straight.
No.
Shout out to Will.
Hey,
we love you, Will.
Will Purdue, too. Will Purdue is a prima donna. Hey, listen, if you don't give them the basketball, they get upset.
It was a couple of times the last couple of years that Will ain't get that third question in. I'd have to answer for it in the commercial
exactly.
break.
He would get upset.
Speaking of the great Will Perdue, one of the great members of that Bulls bench, championship-wise, this bench, there's a lot of players who are vying for time.
Yeah.
Bench scores 46 tonight. There's some decisions. Hey, Stacey and Mark talked about it. There's a lot of lineups. There's a lot of things you could do with this rotation. Billy's got some options, and a lot of guys are vying for those minutes. Bench played well tonight against the Wizards.
They really did. Julian Phillips, kudos to him because he was still sick, came in and played today. Modest knocked down a three. My man Jalen Smith, who's probably my favorite off of the bench now because of the efficiency he plays with and also what he brings to the table. And let's give it to Chicago's own Talen Horton-Tucker.
Shout out to THT.
13 big points, 1 rebound, 5 of 6 from the field, 2 assists. And here's the thing. You see these two guys here, Jason? They don't hurt you when you put them in the game. And that's why Billy can go to them with confidence because he knows what he's going to get from them.
See those two guys there? Those are media guide photos from the 70s. Those two dudes look, those are two young dudes. I remember I used to take a look at those 70s photos. Everybody looked grown in their high school yearbook.
That's right.
Those two dudes are 24 and 23 years old.
Oh, my God.
The NBA miles on those two men. THT, shout out to Simeon's finest. And, of course, Big Ten alum Jalen Smith out of Maryland. You got some options if you're Billy Donovan. It's always good to have guys on the bench that are ready to go because, say, P. Will isn't having the night you want him to have, or Josh Giddey isn't having the night you want him to have. You can install one of these guys, or you can move things around. Modest Buzelis gets more minutes. Dalen Terry got 16 minutes tonight. I thought he played well defensively. Didn't put up the shots. He went 1 for 3 or whatever, but that's not his role right now.
That's not his role.
There's some things here. That's why the defense has been so confounding because if you just tighten up that part, you can actually start to evaluate this team properly.
No, you really can, and the defense is most important because, 1, it allows you to be in basketball games. 2, if you're close enough to win them. And 3, you want to see how these guys, specifically the young guys, you want to see how they play in tight game situations.
Winning moments, right?
Winning moments. Because that's what builds your program. That's what builds your development. And by the way, like I said, we've said this many times. We're very happy with the development of the young players. Buzelis playing great. Had a slow start to the season, but starting to play great. Dalen Terry, Julian Phillips, all the young guys, we are starting to see drastic improvement in their game, specifically Dalen Terry.
Yeah, shout out. Hey, listen, we talked last year, Dalen, the jump shot was affecting his minutes.
It was.
Got to affect the game some other way.
Right.
If the jump shot isn't coming along, he's learned that a little bit. I think he's matured a little bit this year as well in terms of where he needs to be. And just like you mentioned, he won't hurt you. Like Dalen Terry last year, there was a few times where you had to bring him out because he was hurting you. That hasn't happened so far this season. So kudos to Peter Patton, kudos to Billy Donovan, the coaching staff, and more importantly, kudos to these young dudes for understanding what the task at hand is being a professional.
Yeah, because when they get in the game, these guys go for broke.
Yeah.
I mean, they play their hardest, and that's what you want in your young players, to continue to develop, to continue to take those minutes that they get seriously and go out there and do their best.
8 for Phillips, 13 for THT, 12 for Jalen Smith, Dalen Terry with some decent defense, Modest Buzelis with 9.
Right.
It's a bench win.
It is.
It's a bench win. All right, we got more for you here on Toyota Bulls Postgame Live. When we come back, we'll take a look at those Group C Eastern Conference standings, Emirates NBA Cup action. And of course, we'll hear from Billy Donovan as well. You've got Toyota Bulls Postgame Live right here on Chicago Sports Network.